Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to what will be the final reaction video for ReZero before I am entirely caught up with anime content ahead of season 4 starting in a couple of weeks, of course. So yeah, I'm very excited to do this. This is going to be, of course, checking out the second half of the break time shorts from season 3. The first half of the break time shorts were mind-blowing in their content. They had so much in there that just blew me away that it wasn't content included in the anime series. So I wonder what we're going to see within the second half of the season 3 break time shorts. I don't know if it's going to be more so like just little cutaway gags and stuff, because season 3, the second half, was quite dense in its content with, you know, all the fights and everything and learning information. So maybe it's not going to be so much like super important stuff or even anything related to what was happening within the episodes. I'm not sure, but we're going to find out anyway. I will, of course, be answering questions that you guys have left me. I asked in a post on the YouTube community tab if anyone had any questions for me before I finish the series, and I would answer them in a video, and here I'm going to do that. Of course, I will also share, you know, my plans for season 4 at the end of this video as well. So if you guys want to hear what my plans are for checking out those episodes as they come out, etc., you know, you might want to hear what I have to say there. But yeah, I'm not going to keep you guys too much longer before we check out reaction content here today. So yeah, if you guys have enjoyed these videos, please leave a like and subscribe if you have not done so already. Leave a comment down below, and you can feel free to ask more questions, etc., or answer some of the questions that I myself ask you guys to weigh in on during my answers for the questions you guys have asked. There are a couple of questions, I've read over the questions, and there are a couple of questions that I have kind of not redirected back to you guys, but I want input, I guess is a better way of putting that. So yeah, feel free to comment on those down below. And yeah, if you want to show even more support, you could of course hit the notification bell down below so that you could be notified when future uploads go live in the channel, including those all important season 4 episode reactions that will be coming. And as always, feel free to share this with someone who you think might enjoy reaction content to ReZero. So yeah, season 3, part 2 of the break time shorts. Let's go. I see that we're starting with auto. You love to see it. Here we go. What do we get here? Mr. Darts. Who's Mr. Darts? Emilia camp struggles. Oh, this is the journal. Of course this is the journal. How are we going to return this back to its normal state? This looks all destroyed. Fragrance. Yeah, seriously, how do you know which part goes where? But can you do it? A divine feat. Okay, but can you do it? Oh shit, he can do it. Okay. I'm me, he's him. But what will we learn from this? Sake? What else do you want to know? Oh, yep, we're gonna learn the enemy's information from it. That's funny, but also that's good. Hopefully. Very true. Shitting all over him. Press X to doubt. I don't know if that's true here. I don't know. I feel like the opposite should be the case, but okay, in this case. Okay. You certainly can have that much. But it definitely raises the question of the fact that we haven't seen the restoration of this gospel just yet. The fact that we haven't seen the restoration finalized yet within the series has me a little worried that perhaps there are sort of devious intent, some devious intent associated with this, because if we received it at the end of the season and we were maybe able to start reading through it, then we could kind of rule out that there's anything bad and that we could trust Roswell. But having it still unfinished makes me worried because there's still that air of doubt in the air, and we're not going to be done with that air of doubt until we have confirmed that there's nothing dubious whatsoever here. And even then, like, is there going to be a problem with reading it? Is it going to be like the witch cultists' gospels where it's very difficult to read what's in it for some reason? I don't know if it's a different language or something. So yeah, keeping this still and making this a plot point that we're restoring this in order to read it, yeah, there's a reason to have doubt, and I still have some doubt. And yeah, I'm glad that this drew attention to this once again. I'm glad that this came back up because I truly had forgotten about this because so much other stuff had happened within season 3 that it's very easy to remember something like this. Very easy to forget, rather, something like this. So yeah. Thank you once again to the Break Time Shorts, as always, for reminding me of something that maybe I had forgotten, and it's going to be at the front of my mind heading into Season 4, because I'm sure that before they leave Pristella, they are going to return to retrieve this, and over the course of Season 4, maybe, we are going to translate this, or we're going to learn what is within this journal, what is within this gospel, this divine truth of Roswell's here, and if there's anything we should be worried about, if there's anything still to come that we can learn from this. Or maybe it's going to teach us something about Roswell's past. Maybe something in his past will answer something for our future. That's something to also consider. So yeah, I'm gonna move on to break time number 2 here, but this was very, very great to be reminded of something like this. So yeah, that's why I love doing these break time shorts. So let's see what we get in number 2. We're starting number 2 with Sirius, which is a little scary. I see all these mirrors around, and my initial thoughts are that this might be kind of similar to when she's drawing things out into the real world. Does she store them in some sort of mirror, perhaps? This short might open up some information about that. So let's see what we get here. Oh, of course. Oh, jeez. Why? Malice before the theater. That's so funny. So this is before episode 1, I think. A dead meat scrap. Come on, Kapala. They are all so different from one another. Yo, it's so hard to read all of this. Oh wait, he's already gone. Jeez. What pitiful people, they don't understand your charisma. So true. Oh my god, there's so much. Jeez. This is overload. Oh my goodness. It's just a huge nuisance. Not moved at all. Oh no. You will be forgotten. Oh, Regulus. That's funny. Ah. Nope. Psh, no time to run. What do I, Roy? Jeez, you once lifted me up from hell. Dearest, most beloved, will we see the return of Juice? I would be very surprised, but also I would welcome it so greatly. This was an absolute, like, crazy one to follow. This was I don't want to call it messy, but just there was so much happening at once, so much text on the screen, I couldn't read everything, to the point where I was reading half of things. And yeah, so I'm not going to really go through it all again because I kind of get the gist of it. It's showing how each of these characters are even further. You know, it's further emphasizing their characters, their personalities, and even the way they interacted with one another. And, you know, we kind of get the idea of how different they are from one another, which, you know, is very important and great here. There are a couple of interesting things within this, though, because within this, Sirius shares that she was once lifted from hell by Betelgeuse, and that she will do the same for him. So what does that mean? I don't know if this is literal, but, you know, I'm still going with my theory that this is Fortuna because I have not seen anything to suggest otherwise. So, assuming this is Fortuna, then this would tell us that Betelgeuse somehow brought her back, but in doing so, it broke her mind. And that is how we have what we have here. So I don't know if Betelgeuse had something similar to what he had with Sloth, where he had the authority somehow just stored in like a little like box. Like, I don't know if he had something similar to that with Wrath, and he passed it on to a dead body, and somehow that brought her back, but in a twisted state. I don't know if that's the case, and if that is the case, then her words here of "I will bring you back," and then kind of the similar declaration in the final episode, I can't imagine that is a kind of throwaway. I wonder if, you know, there will be a moment where Subaru kind of somehow does lose it, and Betelgeuse starts to show his face, because it's been made abundantly clear at this point that Betelgeuse somehow is resting within Subaru. And so I'm wondering now if something will come of that. I do feel like Subaru is a strong enough character that he will not be broken, but to have this short and then the final episode kind of indicate that Sirius is going to be there for when Betelgeuse returns, you know, it does kind of bring up this question of, will Subaru ever get to the point where he is in a battle, he is losing, and so he loses himself in order to bring out a deeper, darker essence within himself that allows him to win a fight or win something, to go further in his goals, and that means bringing out some of Betelgeuse. I think that this short is kind of like opened up that prospect to me that, you know, watching this after watching the final episode, we see those seeds being planted throughout the season, and I don't think there's I don't think it's for no reason. I think there's purpose behind it, and this short has definitely made that more clear to me than ever. So yeah, this was very, very interesting. And even her words of like, you guys are all going to be history and I'll be around at the end of it. I wonder if that's also going to be almost prophetic, where we've seen the loss of Regulus. And it's hilarious actually that Regulus is the only Sin Archbishop that truly is gone now, from my understanding anyway. And Capella managed to get away. Lai potentially got away. I'm not sure if Lai turned into dust and died at the end of the season, or if Lai was taken away by Rui and Roy still remains, and then obviously Sirius is also remaining. So I wonder, yeah, I wonder if her words here of like all of you will be history and you'll be forgotten. I wonder if that's kind of prophetic of what is to come in the future of ReZero. But I think I'm going to check out the next one. This was really funny, really crazy, and it was just so funny seeing the interactions between each of the Sin Archbishops, because that's something we sadly didn't get to see much of throughout the season, and something I really wanted to see more of. But their goals very clearly did not include teaming up together. They were sort of like they had their own individual goals and they went there to attain them, and that's kind of made obvious by moments like these where they're not actually meeting with one another and they don't actually have to be friendly with one another. They just communicate, and that's really all there is to it. So yeah, we're going to check out number 3 here and see what we get in this next one. But this one was really cool. Starting this one with Priscilla and Liliana. Here we go. Songstress. You're with Priscilla, you should be scared. This is true. What of it? Do you realize who you're with? Oh, I love Priscilla. Scarlet Romantic Tales. You think? That's not entirely true. Yes, why do you remain here in Pristella? A wandering... Yep, that's what I was wondering at the end of the season. Kiritika. Just tell her. The first thought was Kiritika. Yep. Aww. Aww. There's a sense of being accepted and needed. Yeah, people wanted your songs. Okay, that's good. I'm glad you're not trapped here, because I'd like to see more of you in the series. I have a wife and child? What? It's not time to start singing. Yep. You gotta have a great moment. You just gotta wait for it. You're with Priscilla. Yep, that's exactly who you're with. Quite right. That was a really cool one, but at the same time, it didn't really open up much in the way of new information. It kind of just gave a little bit more, a little bit of depth to Liliana, and it answered the question that I've been wondering but never asked. Why does she not leave? Why has she remained here in Pristella for an extended period of time? And in my head, I kind of answered that as, well, she doesn't want to leave Kiritika, she's staying here because of him. And here she kind of shares something differently. She's here for everyone. She's here because of the words that they've all shared, where they want her to continue singing, they want her to sing forever, and they kind of need and want her songs. And so she's found herself like a sense of purpose. Being a bard, you want to have people be entertained. It's kind of like a big part of that. And prior to coming to Pristella, she wasn't really welcome. She wasn't really someone that people cared for when she was performing. So this place is very important to her. This place is, kind of where she had her awakening, and kind of where she had this really great moment of growth for her being a bard and everything. So this is a very important place for her, and being needed and having this sense of purpose is surely very important to her. But it's good to hear that she plans on continuing to be a wandering bard in the future, and I wonder if that's telling us she is going to leave with Priscilla at the end of season 3 here, because I think that would be really great to see her continue and see her more in the future. But as to when that could happen or where that could happen, I obviously don't have a clue. But I don't want to say goodbye to her at the end of season 3, but sadly that might be the case. But there is hope now that she has shared that she plans to continue being a wandering not merchant, a wandering bard. And it's also really funny to see Priscilla be like, do you know who you're with? And yeah, for the big moment of like, Priscilla, she is her. And she really is, because the way she handled the fight with Sirius was so cool. And yeah, she is her. And we need more Priscilla in season 4. We need more Priscilla in the future. We need Priscilla and Al. I don't want just Priscilla because I want Al. I also want to see more Priscilla, but I obviously want to see a lot more of Al as well, because he is a huge mystery to us. So we're going to check out the next one, break time number 4 here for today. But yeah, it's really cool that each break time short has kind of shown different characters so far. I hope that that continues, because sometimes it gets to a point where it's just little skit after little skit of like the same characters over and over again. Like, I'm looking at you, Auto Journals, I'm looking at you, Frederica and Petra. Like, whenever you see those guys, it could be a sign of several break time shorts in a row being that way. So let's see what we get in this 4th one here. Here we go. We have this break time short starting with a black screen, so I have no idea what's coming. So here we go. Let's see what we get. Oh, we're getting Petra. Recruit supporters, love it. Okay, they're actually still doing work. You girl. Who's this? Emilia can't struggles. Who are you? You look important. You've got a unique design. And this is your first appearance, and it's in chibi form. Okay. But you're also Petra height, so are you a child? Are those elf ears? I've done it before, I'll do it again. Aww. Weaklings! Live your life for yourself. Yo, they quickly got into an argument. Sorry, I hiccuped there. That was weird. To keep your principles. Yes, sir. What can you do? Who are you? Yes, answer the question. Oh, wow. Escort you to the heavens? That's a long name. I'm going to have to pause and read. Dias Lepunzo, Elemanso, Oplane, Fatsbomb, the 6th. So I'm going to call you Dias, because that's the easiest part to say, and also it shortens everything, and that's what comes first. So Dias here, I wonder if she's actually going to be an important figure in the series, because not only does she have elf ears, but she has a very unique design, and she's very purposely placed here. Like, I feel like this isn't without intent here, and maybe we'll start season 4, we return to the mansion, and we're introduced to characters like this who suddenly are supporting Emilia, and this is a big part of it. We learn how they came to support Emilia, and it's because there were these banquets being held even while the gang was away. Emilia was away, Subaru was away, but Roswell has been gathering people and building relationships and furthering the camp of Emilia. So that's really great to know that in the background, while we're away, things are still happening and things are still being furthered, and this is proof of that through Diaz here. Diaz. And I wonder if she is actually going to show up within season 4 when we get to see her full form. She does look very small, very short, like Petra. She sounded very childlike almost, I would say, but I wonder if that's even the case. Maybe she just appears young because of being an elf. If she is even an elf, or if she's not a full elf, maybe a half elf, but I don't know if that's the case because of Emilia being a half elf. Yeah, this is very interesting because she's very clearly someone who's out for herself. She does what she wants to do, and that's great. A lot of people live like that, and that's fine, so long as you're not putting yourself before others in kind of ways that can be a little over the top. But yeah, very interesting meeting a character like this. I'm going to be interested to see her potentially show up again in the future, and if she's just a character made up for this short, that's kind of crazy because they gave her a really cool unique design, and I'd be very interested to see more of her. But within this short, there's not really much more to talk about. Yeah, so I might already be ready to check out the 5th break time short. I almost said 6th, but I think the next one will be the 5th. So let's see what we get in number 5. Here we go. And we are back to Otto for number 5. What's he got in store for us? A big sigh. Does that mean they trust me? I would hope so. More of Emilia camp struggles. We will. What about Garf? That's true. He's very strong. Oh no. Otto deserves not to be overlooked anymore. Naturally. Oh, that's nice. Otto is the glue that keeps it all together. See, it's crazy that he's the forgotten background character, but she says kind words to Otto and he loses it. Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, I thought she was going to say, I know you'll be alright. A heavy responsibility, this is true. Did she say Otto? Did she say his name? It's disgusting. Emilia! Yes, this is the night before. I know you're gonna be the least to worry about, Emilia. We have to worry about you the least. Aww. That's true. This was sweet because I can understand Otto's doubt, because yeah, he's very often overlooked, and it's something that has become a bit of a joke within the series that Otto is very overlooked. In scenes where he's done something, it's almost like an erasure moment where like nobody even acknowledges him, and it's kind of sad, but at the same time it's very funny. So I'm not complaining, but it's nice to see moments like these where he does have moments where people are very clearly putting all this trust in him that things will be okay because he's there. And that's pretty much what everyone besides maybe Ram was kind of indicating, but nobody really shared that they cared about him until Emilia came around. But yeah, her words as well. Like, you can always trust Emilia to be the one to put things into words that are very kind and, kind of makes everyone happy here. Frederica's words of Otto being the glue that keeps everything together. I agree. Like, without Otto, like, there would be a lot of stuff that didn't happen. Like, there would be a lot of moments where we would be kind of just in the dumps because Otto really digs us out of a lot of messes, and he's also very responsible for a lot of the background stuff that goes on, and the relationships and building all of that and everything. So he's a very, very important person, and he's being trusted here to take care of this entire mission, to oversee the entire mission, and to be responsible for everything that happens, basically, because they're all looking at him and just depending on him at this point. So it's a really eye-opening short for that, and I'm glad to see at the end of it Otto kind of comes out of it smiling and like, yeah, they depend on me, because they really do. And I love that he hopefully has that feeling within himself now that he's needed, he's important. So yeah, let's see what we get in number 6 here. That was a very sweet one. We're starting number 6 with Otto and Ram. Otto looks very uncomfortable here, which makes a lot of sense. Ram is the the true rival for Otto. Like, their relationship is so funny. So let's see what we get in this next one. Here we go. 消せぬわ。何なんですか一体。リゼロから始めるブレイクタイム。エミリア陣営奮闘記。いきなり人の部屋に不機嫌そうに。Really? That's funny. 謝りなさい。What are we saying sorry for? Yeah, seriously. Oh shit. Because he's the relationships officer? Yeah? Yeah, seriously, why are you dragging him into this? Everyone's got choice. If he doesn't want you there, that's fine. That's absolutely the reason. Yeah, you can't rule over someone else's feelings and emotions. No, that's not the case. Things are changing. Wow. Okay, Ram. It must be worth something. Wait, who shared that with Otto? Have we heard that in the series before? That was really funny because yes, I think like yeah, it was a really weird situation, really weird scenario for in the first place, like just, oh, he won't let me watch him change anymore, basically. Like, okay, that's normal. But then for it to be a case of like, well, I admitted my feelings to him and now he stopped letting me do it. So yeah, like what Otto says here, where it's like, well, things are changing and maybe this is the sign of that happening, and maybe just see where things go, basically. And yeah, things might be changing and things might be going in a different direction for them. But it was the words of Ram at the end here where she kind of praised him and kind of like said nice things about him that really caught me off guard, because we have never heard Ram, I don't think, say anything nice about Otto or to Otto ever. So it was really nice. But then we did get that little ha at the end, and you kind of question then, did she mean those nice words that she said? But yeah, this was a really, really funny one. Very interesting one that this was a break time short. I feel like I didn't need to know the extent to what Ram and Roswell be getting up to behind the scenes, but here we are. I don't know if I have much more to say about this one. Yeah, we're going to check out and see what we get in number 7 here. Let's go. Another black screen. I wonder if this one will also feed into Petra, perhaps. I wonder if that's maybe a sign of a Petra episode or a Petra short. And it did. It is Petra. That's really funny. Don't rush me. Okay. Oh, those wrist things might be important. Okay. That voice sounds very familiar. Who was that voice? I recognize that voice. Maybe it's just a voice actor I recognized. Is that someone with cat ears? What? In your own words? Okay. Now's your chance? This is a child. Don't put all this pressure on a child. Okay. It's good to hear your voice again, Roswell, but still. You're such an interesting character. Petra Leite. May the dragon roar with joy. Who are you? Are you an exaggerator? Okay. You're not supposed to speak to Roswell like that. Aw, here we go. Aw, that's really sweet. Just Lady Emilia. This one's very interesting because we see the backs of some characters here. And yeah, it's very, very strange because the one on the far left, very Argyle-esque, Ferris. And the one in the middle reminds me actually of, I can't remember which name it is of one of the witches, but the one that I think was Lust, perhaps. The one that, had the kind of pinky hair. And then the one on the right looks kind of Wilhelmy from behind. So I wonder who these characters are, but the reason that they purposely didn't show us their faces, I can't imagine wasn't without purpose. And these are clearly people that follow the word of Roswell here, because they're like, just tell us to support Lady Emilia and we'll do it. Like, we follow your orders after all. So I think it's really cool though to see the growth of Roswell here. The last episode talked about growth. This is showing more growth, but for Roswell this time, where he's like, I'm not going to order you. I want you to make the decision for yourself. And in order to help that, I'm not going to try to convince you. I'm going to ask one of our new maids, very young child, Petra, to speak on behalf of Lady Emilia, and that's hopefully going to be enough to win you over. And I think that that's a really cool and nice and mature way to do it, where you're not barking orders of like, well, I tell you what to do and you're going to do this and here's why. It's like you're going to listen to the words of someone who, you know, isn't necessarily an innocent, or not innocent, like an uninvolved bystander, but you know, someone who is also involved in Lady Amelia's camp, but someone who you can trust because, you know, they're going to speak their experiences, and I think that that's really cool. But I also understand Frederica's no, you can't ask her to do this, because that is a child that you're putting a lot of pressure on. And I can't help but think that maybe Diaz is a character who exaggerates a bit, because she talks about, oh, I'm going to make you the meal that made the dragon roar or something like that. And she's always throwing her head back and laughing. And she's very charismatic and she's very full of life. And she is a character. But, you know, I can't help but imagine there's a little more to her than we're seeing. Those wristbands around her wrist, I feel like I've seen something like that before. But I couldn't tell you where. Her design would remind you of Minerva, obviously, but I don't know, like this thing around her wrist, it's making me think of someone else that I can't recall right now, so gonna need to see more of her to fully understand her. And I love these last words of, I'm not going to talk to you about a half-elf, I'm going to talk to you about Lady Emilia. That's so adorable and so sweet. And yeah, I can't wait to see, you know, hopefully they come around and they do agree to accept Lady Emilia on their own terms here. Through the words of Petra, of course. But for now, why don't we move on and check out the final break time short for this video. So if you guys have enjoyed this, please leave a like and subscribe if you've not done so already. And leave a comment down below letting me know your favorite break time short. And yeah, if you want to show even more support, hit the notification bell down below so that you can be notified when future uploads go live on the channel. And share this with someone who you think might enjoy reaction content to ReZero. So yeah, let's see what we get in this final break time short. Here we go. I see that we are picking up still within this same banquet, the same meeting of people. That's a cat boy very clearly down bottom right, actually, now that we can see they're wearing a suit. But then maybe because Fetus is a cat boy as well, maybe this is ironically a cat girl. Maybe there's just going to be that play on, you know, inverse what we would expect. So yeah, let's see what we get in this final one here. And is Petra going to enjoy the food that DS made for her? Let's see. Oh, I love the ambient noise in the background there. Look at that, like just briefly checking to see. Oh, why does she walk away? What? You don't taste things? That's crazy. You've gave away your sense of taste? Is it because of all the clones? That's crazy. You've lost so much of yourself through time. Well, not clones, but you know what I mean. Oh, Diaz in the background does not look happy. Wow. Petra is the only one. That's really funny. Really not what? Oh, what is this? Your straightforward and honest opinions, and it's really good. That's really funny. A bag of coin? Oh? She's a character. Okay. Will this help him taste?
旦那様も一つどうぞ。
ペトラ君、私は
それでもです。
Okay. Is Diaz gonna cure him? What? It worked?
美食は舌を満足
Oh,
させるだけじゃ
okay.
匂いや食
Smell and texture,
そ
yes.
の一つか。
これ全部
You can have it all. That's so sweet. The turnaround from Petra being like, I don't like him, I don't trust him, blah, 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 all of this, to like that really sweet moment at the end. Even further showing the change and the growth of these characters within these shorts. I love it. I know that a lot of these break time shorts follow Petra, and the ones that follow Petra don't necessarily have as much important content within them, but they are so sweet and adorable. And for the most part, they are what these shorts should be. These shorts should not be super heavily reliant on showing information that was skipped in the content in the series or anything, because frankly, that information should be in the series. So these break time shorts, while yes, I love that sometimes they include little bits and pieces that they couldn't put into the episodes, which makes a lot of sense. I think it's very, very important to still show some of that information, but here we're getting to see little things that maybe aren't super important for the story, but they show the characters and they show change within characters that don't get as much light, don't get as much shine within the main series. And that's what I really love about these shorts, and I think that these ones are some of my favorites for sure, even though there isn't as much happening. Another interesting one, because Diaz's reaction when Roswell showed up earlier was very interesting. She kind of turned up her nose and walked away and then kept her eyes closed as he was talking. So I wonder if Diaz kind of has this really weird relationship with Roswell where they don't necessarily like each other, but nobody really voiced it here. So yeah, I'd be interested to see more of that relationship in the future. Like why was she so weird around him? But yeah, besides that, there's not really a whole lot to talk about here besides Petra being the absolute sweetest soul as always. She is the sweetest being, and she always has been, she always will be. And yeah, she's going to be a character that I love seeing in these break time shorts going into season 4. I hope to be watching the break time shorts weekly as they come out and stuff, and I really look forward to it, and I hope that we get to see much more of Petra within them. So yeah, that's probably going to do it for me for the break time portion of this video. I think now I will kind of focus my attention on the questions that were asked, and I will do my best to answer them. So yeah, we're going to check out like a little Q&A section here. We're going to do a little Q&A section for this video. So here we go, I guess. Just to give a heads up, I will be fixing my camera so that I'm more centered, but a heads up, I kind of went through these questions and sort of scripted my responses just because I didn't want to kind of sit here and think like, oh, how would I answer this? Because some of the questions were great. Like, in fact, all of the questions were great. But some of them did require some thinking. And so I didn't want to just kind of sit here and think of it for ages. So, you know, you're still getting my true and honest responses, but, you know, I might look like I'm reading something, and that's probably because I am. So just to give a heads up, not that it's super important, but yeah, I will be doing that now. So here we go. So the first set of questions that we're going to answer today come from DSPGFJ. I will have somewhere included like the questions and, you know, their picture, profile picture on YouTube, just to kind of, you know, show. They asked a list of questions and I'll go through them in order. So the first question they asked is, who is your favorite Archbishop? And this one was actually really tough for me because, you know, I love a lot of these characters, a lot of these Archbishops for different reasons. Some of them I don't love as characters, but I love like their energy and how they make me feel and just everything like that. So you know, it was a lot tougher than it seemed kind of just reading a question like this, because, you know, I really love how unique each of these 10 archbishops is. But, you know, for me, I do have a very special place for Juice, because his introductory episode, all the way back season 1, episode 15 rather, not 5, that episode will always be burned into my mind. That it was one of the greatest moments I've had doing reaction content on this channel, was reacting to episode 15 of season 1. It was mind-blowing. But then, you know, some of the other archbishops, you know, you've got Regulus, and as much as I hate him, I love to hate him, and he was a great presence within season 3, and his character was fun to be around, but also not fun. But like, you know what I mean, like, he's very very charismatic. I would say he's not charismatic in a charismatic way, but like, he's flamboyant, and I just loved his presence. But I do still hate the guy. But then obviously, you know, we also have Sirius, who was filling the void left behind by our beloved Juice, and she did a great job. She is insane, but you know, I'm comparing her to Petaljuice, and sadly I have more love for Petaljuice than I do for Sirius, but I love that she's sticking around, and I hope that we get to see more of her in the future. And then there's also Capella, who is bonkers. She is really just insane, and I absolutely loved the time that we spent with her, because anytime we were spending time with her, I knew shit was about to go down, and that's what I loved about her. She was to the point, and she also was so insane and so fun to be around. So because of how much I loved every scene she was in, she made the most of every scene she was in. She does rank very highly for me in for Archbishop. So you know, we're going to talk about others. You know, Pandora and Hector, we haven't seen enough of, but also there's the belief that maybe they are actually witches, opposed to well, I know Hector wouldn't be a witch, but you know what I mean, like, they're probably the witches opposed to being sin archbishops, so I don't really know how to talk about those, so I'm gonna kind of skip over them. Gluttony, the Gluttony fam they're terrifying. They are so incredibly terrifying. Not only their powers and what they can do being terrifying, but also like their mannerisms, the way they hold themselves, the way they speak, the way they conduct themselves. Everything is truly horrifying. They are probably the scariest of the sin archbishops, but on like a close look or a quick look, you wouldn't think so. So, you know, because of how kind of scary they are, in good faith, I can't say that they're my favorite, but that's because they're so well written in how scary they are. So for a TLDR on my favorite, Juice, I would probably say Juice still. He was such a great introduction of a character all the way back in season 1. But there is also that question of that I mentioned earlier now of Subaru. Does Subaru count now as a sin archbishop? Because if he is, you know, he would be a lock-in probably for my favorite, but I'm not sure how that whole thing works. So yeah, very, very interesting how that might work. But I would say Juice, but with a caveat of maybe Subaru counting. I'm not sure. But yeah, then the next question that they asked was, who is your favorite character? And I'll answer this in a later question. You'll see why. Who is my least favorite character? And this is really tricky because there's no obvious pick here. Some other series I could just throw out a name immediately, a character that I hate, character that I despise. But within the series, everyone is so well written that I don't necessarily have like a character I hate, you know, like a least favorite character. Like there's some obvious picks for me, characters that I've dogged on throughout the series, like Regulus and Hankel. I dogged on them a lot throughout season 3, but for someone like Regulus, I was really entertained by him, and a character like Hankel, I can understand why he is the way he is. He's gone through so much, so I wouldn't really count him as my least favorite either. So I guess like I'll just throw out a really boring answer here, and I'll say Pandora because anytime she's shown up, which has been twice in flashbacks, she's taken 2 characters from us that we love and adore. So yeah, I guess I would say she's my least favorite, but even then she's got a lot of importance within this world that I don't hate her, but I need to learn more about her. But yeah, I guess I would say she's maybe my least favorite of the characters that are relevant for this series. Otherwise, I could just throw out a character that said something mean in the background of a scene all the way back in seasons 1 or 2 or something. The next question being, what am I most excited to see next within the series? To give one quick answer, and then I'll kind of talk about some other stuff. What am I most excited to see in the series? The Ram turn, of course. The return of Ram. That's got to be ranking very highly for a lot of people, of course, what they're most excited to see. But Obviously, something else that I'm really looking forward to within what might come in season 4, hopefully anyway, is getting to see more of the world. I love that in each season it's kind of focused on individual areas where we go to a new area, and that's kind of where we focus the majority of the season. And I hope that that continues into season 4 and we get to spend time in a new area, because it's been really cool getting to see that, because it gives this world a lot more depth and a lot more life, I would say, getting to see all these different places. So I hope that that continues into season 4. And I also want to see more of the development of relationships within season 4, like just anyone and everyone just spending time together, like getting to see relationships develop that maybe we haven't seen before. But I am also a whore for lore, and I am absolutely just foaming at the mouth for more of that, for more lore. So yeah, I just want more lore. I want more world relevant lore, past relevant lore, character relevant lore, backstories, the whole shebang. I want it. I also want more Al. Yeah, more Al, because yeah. Something I also want to see that might just be me, but I hope that ending season 3 and starting season 4, we don't cut out Subaru's reunion with Patrash. I need that reunion on my screen. I need to see it. I need to see it so bad. I love Patrash. Patrash is best girl, of course. And yeah, I need to see that scene when it comes. Hopefully before we start adding more mysteries in season 4, we get some answers for mysteries of the past. That's something I would also love to see, but something else that's huge that I am so excited for. I haven't looked into it, so please don't spoil if it is the case. I'm hoping that we get more Myth and Royd, more Economy Suzuki, more of them perhaps, with openings and endings for season 4 ReZero. I need it in my veins so bad. So yeah, the next question then that was asked is, who would I want to see more of? And I kind of answered that already with Al. That man is a huge mystery, a huge enigma, and I would love to spend more time getting to learn more about him, but also more of the candidates like Priscilla and Felt. I feel like those two candidates especially, and maybe also Anastasia, those are two that we haven't spent that much time with, and we got to see most of their content within the series of ReZero within season 3 here. So I'd love to see more of them, and also best girl Patrash, of course. Patrash, I want to see more of her. Other characters I'd like to see more of, not necessarily because I like them, but because I feel like I'd like to just see more of them be introduced sporadically here and there, because I feel like they're going to be huge antagonistic figures within this series heading into season 4 and beyond. That being, of course, Pandora and Hector. We need to see something of them. And then, of course, the Gluttony fam, because we're not going to get the return of Rem. We're not going to get the Rem turn until we take down all of Gluttony, probably. So I want to see more of them so that we have a chance to bring about the initiation of the return of Rem. So thank you to DSPGFJ for your questions. The next person to ask questions was Gabor Shapezi 6299, who asked the following questions of: which Archbishop would you be friends with if you were forced to pick one? This is a really fun question because this one got me to think. And I kind of answer for each character here within this. Within my answer here, I wanted to talk about each of the archbishops. So Hector, if he even is a Sin Archbishop, I think he's done the least harm thus far. So he might be a safe one to pick. But of those that we've actually seen more of, Juice and Sirius are bonkers. I don't think being friends with Crazy would be very fun, and I don't think I could be friends with Regulus, even if you forget the wife stuff. He's very controlling, very manipulative, and he controls everything. Like, he cares too much about himself and what others think about him, his constant obsession being himself and everything. That would drive me insane. Another one then that I've mentioned is Pandora, but then again, she might be a witch and not Sin Archbishop. I think she is a witch, and she's killed too many of my friends, so it's a pass. Capella might be the most normal if her powers aren't in the conversation. If you hear me out a little here, because she is someone that, yeah, she's crazy, but I feel like she's not crazy in the same way that Sirius is. She's not crazy in the way that Juice is. And she's not so controlling like Regulus. So to me, she might be more normal. But, you know, she is so constantly needing affection, needing attention, similar to Regulus in that sense. And so I wouldn't really be able to deal with it. So, you know, I might rule her out in those grounds. But then that leaves Lai, Roy, and Rui. And I don't know Rui enough, so I would kind of rule her out. And of the other two, Lai seems a lot more chill. Even if he's a picky eater, I would rather get some food with Lai, because I feel like Roy would be the kind to reach across the table and start eating from my plate before he even finishes his own. Or when I go to the restroom, I would come back to an empty plate because Roy helped himself. So I think I'd probably go with Lai. And yeah, I think we would eat our fill and go grab a pizza or something. I think that would be pretty fun. So which of them would I be friends with? Not it being that I'm choosing one, I'm having to choose one. Maybe Lai. Another fun question for who my favorite character design is. This one was kind of hard because I didn't want to start looking up characters because I was scared of seeing spoilers for future content. So I'm kind of using my own memory. So I might be forgetting someone obvious and someone that I've commented on in the past or anything. But what comes immediately to mind is maybe a boring answer, but I love Echidna's design. Echidna's design is so good. And she immediately came to mind here when this question was asked, when I read this question. But, you know, I do also love the designs of some of the colored hair characters like Krush, characters like Julius. I just love their hair. Reinhardt, of course, Teresia. I don't know. I really like the colored haired characters. Another one being Emilia. Her design is gorgeous. She is presented in such an ethereal way. Her otherworldly beauty and appearance has been given so much care, so much attention, so much love from the animators, from the designers, from whoever illustrated in the light novels, etc. She has been given such a great appearance, and so it would be remiss of me not to mention her character design here. But then, you know, of the demi-humans, I love the way they look. Demi-humans look so cool, but for me, the one who takes the cake for the demi-human appearances is Ricardo. I love his design. I've commented on this in the past already. I really love how cool he looks, and he just looks badass and so buff and cool, and I love that. But another huge one that I can't go without mentioning is Garf. Garth's design is sick, and he ranks very highly for me in this department. And maybe that's also just because I'm kind of a sucker for kind of like the shark-toothed characters in anime, so maybe that's also a reason. But yeah, I love it. The next question is, what is my favorite power? My favorite power. And I'm kind of a fan of the simplicity of the demon design for Rem. When she would use her horn, but also, you know, like Ram when she would have as well. I think it's really cool. I love when they would pop off, and, you know, it just is a really cool power to have and very unique to that tribe of beings, you know, the Oni, the demons. So I really love that. But I also love Puck's huge form. Puck's huge form is intimidating, it's awesome, and it's just such a cool power to see brought out. But I guess in terms of more so maybe what you were asking, I love Emilia's ice brand magic. It's so fun. It gives so much variety, so much versatility to Emilia. It's so fun. It's not the flashiest of magics, but it's really damn cool. She can just pull anything out at the drop of a hat. It's just so fun, and I absolutely adore it. I've shared throughout this how much I love it already. But, you know, so that might be my favorite. But I guess of the Sin Archbishop powers, which maybe is what you were talking about as well, I do really dig Unseen Hand, and I really think that it would be so helpful in a lot of normal situations. Like, I could be in the kitchen and I could reach across to grab a spice, grab a knife, whatever I need, just so easily if I had that power. So I think Unseen Hand, the power of Sloth, would maybe be the most useful in that case. So yeah, the next question is, which is my favorite season so far? And this was really difficult for me. I've kind of given an answer at the end, but this was really hard because I love each season for different reasons. Season one, I have such strong emotional attachment to. It drew me in and it made me a fan of the series. So I have such strong feelings and love for season one. I absolutely adore it. It's so good that I couldn't say a single bad thing about it. But then at the same time, season two takes everything from season one and amplifies it, right? Like, it turned it up to 11. The lore, the information, the stakes were so high in season two that it made for a genuinely gripping and thrilling season of television. There was so much character growth within season two as well. Like, it was incredible, season two. But then we get to season three, and I am a huge sucker for action and flashiness, and season three certainly had all of that. And season three was probably the most rewarding season of all, because things that had been set up through seasons 1 and 2 came to a head within season 3 here, and it was just incredible to see play out. We got to be reunited with old friends, we were fighting some of the big bads from the past, and of course we got to see what some characters were capable of, like Priscilla and Al. Even Anastasia, but we're sussing on that one. But then of course Reinhard got to pop off finally. And yeah, despite being a sucker for action and flashy sequences, I think in terms of a favourite, I might have to say season 2. It really just was so dense in story and character information and lore and information. Just everything was so good in season 2. But that does not mean that season 1 and 2 are not deserving of their flowers. They were incredible. And I cannot wait to see what season 4 has in store. And the final question from this set of questions is, which magic attribute would I choose of the 6 in the series? And yeah, this one was tricky simply because I'm struggling to recall like uses of each of them, and so for this I kind of gave like kind of a short answer, but Betty makes yang magic look so cool, but I also need to see more of yin, so yang magic would be pretty cool, but then I think the one that I would pick here would probably be fire. So my choice would be fire, and a simple reason for that being that fire magic comes with both fire and ice. So I get 2 for the price of 1 there for choosing fire. So yeah, that's why I'm going to go with that one. So Emon Subaru asks the next question, which is, I'm curious to know, who is your top 5 characters in ReZero so far? So this one I was going back and forth with my top 5, and I'm going to be so honest, my top 5 changes all the time. So this isn't a set in stone like top 5. Next week I might switch it up. Maybe my top 1 will never change, but the rest, and including some honorable mentions, just get thrown about there. And there's no set in stone top 5. It's such a difficult one, but for the purposes of answering this question, I did answer with a top 5. It's very difficult to narrow it down to top 5 because of how many incredibly well written characters there are within the series, which is a huge compliment to both light novel creator Tape, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, and also those that are in charge of bringing that information to us and showing us this content within the anime. So obviously this is just my top 5, and a lot of that comes down to how much time we have spent with said characters and the growth that we have seen from them, which will hopefully explain why maybe some characters rank higher than others that might be expected to be higher. So yeah, I guess I'll run through it 5 to 1, but I will throw out some honorable mentions here before that. So in no particular order for honorable mentions, Beatrice, I love that girl, but she was out for a lot of season 3, so hopefully within season 4 we see more of her. Juice, kind of hard to rank him because he was only really present within season 1, but yeah, it's hard not to make a list like this and not think of Juice. He comes into my top 5 so often that next week maybe he would be in my top 5. Reinhard, still need to see more of him to place him in my top 5, but he's definitely been placing higher and higher. Echidna as well. Echidna, if you asked me at the end of season 2, Echidna was in my top 5 easily. I loved her so much, but her being only in one season, I just find it hard to place her when some others have had so much growth across these 3 seasons. So if we see more of Echidna, she would be an easy lock-in for top 5. Patrash, best girl, of course. Had to mention Patrash. And of course, Otto. Otto is such a great character. I love Otto so much. But going into my top 5, I would say number 5, Julius. I have been a huge fan and huge defender and believer of Julius for such a long time now. He has had some of the best character, I would say growth, but at the same time he hasn't grown. You know, we've just come to understand him more across the series, and I just love him so much, and he had to be in my top 5. Number 4 might be surprising for the placement, but I would say Rem. Rem would be much higher if she was back with us. And like I said, some others place higher simply because they have had more growth across several seasons. And Rem, you know, I need her back. The fact that she's still in my top 5 speaks on the quality of her character in itself. So I would say number 4, Rem here. Number 3, Garth. I love that boy so much. He made me so happy this season, seeing everything. Like, yeah, he's such a little guy, and I love Garth so much. He's the best, and yeah, he's definitely a character that makes me happy every time I see him, and I loved his growth here. I loved seeing him fighting Kurgan, one of the highlights of the season for sure. Number 2, Emilia. The reason why she's so high is because this season bumped her stocks so high. Emilia really was the star of season 3 for me, and I'm so proud of her. She was so great this season, and I loved it so much. But for number 1, there's so many great characters within this season, but for me this is kind of an easy answer. From day 1, I have been a huge fan of Natsuki Subaru, even when he was kind of disappointing me throughout the mid-season 1. I knew that he had good intentions in his heart. I knew that he was a good person, and I had the faith that he would turn things around. And he has done just that in such a remarkable way. Subaru is my MC. Subaru is the GOAT. And yeah, I love it so much. I can't wait to see more of him. But, you know, so kind of talking more about Subaru here, now that, you know, it's been brought up, it's interesting to think that someone like Subaru was able to house Sloth, the authority of Sloth, if that is what's happening here, because we know that just went batshit insane whenever he took in Sloth. So I should probably think about that more. Like, is he a perfect vessel for Sloth, or is there something that could go wrong where he maybe loses it? Like, it's something to keep in mind for sure. But yeah, Subaru is my number 1 always. So the next question comes from Bexploser Pro, who asks, cutest character. And this is obvious. This is Puck, right? Puck is such a cute little kitty, or a big bad cat depending on the mood. So yeah, I love that little guy, and I hope that he comes back to us soon for more cuteness. But then they also share the following, where they say, by the way, I wonder if Subaru trained with the sword, since in the last episode of season 2, when he became the knight, he got his own sword and outfit. I know he trained the whip, but it would be cool to see Subaru use his sword, like at least against these demi-beasts of Capella. And I agree. I think that it would be so sick to see Subaru at least at some point use this sword. I'm not sure if there's going to be a big moment planned for this, where he pulls out the sword. Maybe that is the case. Maybe there's going to be this big moment. But on the other hand, I'm not sure if Subaru will ever really use the sword, because Subaru doesn't really have anyone in Emilia's camp to train him, I don't think. Every other camp has a well-versed sword user or knight, I think. There's Reinhard in Felt's camp, there's Julius in Anastasia's, within Priscilla's, there's Priscilla and also Al, and then with Krush's camp you obviously have Wilhelm. So who does Subaru have realistically to teach him, unless he depends on someone from another camp? And I don't know if they would want to do that, because at the end of the day, as much as we all help each other out here, we're all fighting for, you know, our person to be in charge, like the candidate. So yeah, I'm not sure he's really had anyone. So I think it's funnier to think that he tried to train by himself and with no guidance of the sword realized it was very difficult, and so he started to experiment with other weapons. And you know, in my head I think it's really funny to imagine that he used these other weapons, and when he went to use the whip he was imagining himself being Indiana Jones or something of that sort, and he actually hit a target, and then from that moment on he was surprised and he decided that was going to be his weapon. And you know, I'm kind of picturing the scene with Usopp in One Piece, all the way back really early One Piece, where they were all firing the cannon and Usopp is the one that hit a rock all the way in the distance, and from that moment on Luffy dubbed him their sniper. So I'm kind of picturing a scene like that where he surprises himself with how talented he is in a certain thing. Rai Pies or Rai Pies asks this next question, which is, if you got Isekai'd into the ReZero world, what type of sin would you like your authority to represent? Something from envy, greed, gluttony, wrath, lust, pride, sloth, vainglory, or melancholy. Just a note that these sinful abilities can definitely be used for good, like Subaru's invisible providence being based off sloth. So yeah, this is really tricky because most of what we've seen has been these authorities being used for not so good purposes. So trying to think of one that I could use for good purposes, you know, I kind of joked earlier about using unseen hand, you know, for, you know, cooking food or just, you know, general idea, like just doing things in general. But when I thought about it, I actually started to think about the witches instead here, and I like the idea of maybe an authority of wrath. So much closer to what Minerva was doing with wrath though than Sirius. And Minerva is able to heal and restore, and that's obviously much better than what we've seen Sirius do. But as well as that, you know, some of Minerva's lore about ending wars and healing and everything, you know, I can't remember the exact wording of that content, but I do think that being able to take something like that would be so sick, and it would be great, and I'd be able to just fix up someone like Subaru's legs or arms next time he runs into trouble, and I think that that would be a really great one to have. But then at the same time, I don't know enough about Vainglory or Melancholy's authorities to kind of talk about those. Stark Envy shares the following, sharing that they hope that I react to the season 4 trailers after finishing season 3, and this is where I'd like to ask you guys for your input. So I've gone back and forth on this a lot. I think it would be a lot of fun, and I think it would help to bridge the gap between seasons 3 and 4 ending for me and keep the excitement levels up. But I'm kind of at the point where I think it's so close to the start of season 4 that I would worry it would only start to spoil content and make certain things stay in my mind, and I would start to expect things going into season 4, because, you know, I'm not sure there's anything spoilery within these trailers. Yeah, I'd like to ask for your input to know if they are super spoilery and if I should avoid them, because keep in mind that I'm someone who likes to analyze things, and so I'm someone who might start to overanalyze to the point where I start to spoil myself on content shown within the trailers. So yeah, please let me know what you guys think. I know that obviously, you know, it might be the case that you want to see me react to more ReZero content, so it might be a case of like, yes, check them out, but, you know, please keep in mind that if there's something super spoilery, it might bum me out. So, you know, please share your input, and I'd love to hear it. Sir Vantalot asks this: from all that you have seen from ReZero, how do you think ReZero will end, and what do you think the ending will be like in the future? And I love this question because this one got me to think about the future based on the information that we have now. And I didn't give a super in-depth answer or anything, but like I did try to think of what I think might happen. So on one hand, I wouldn't be surprised if this whole series ends up being some kind of continuous time loop, one where the series would end with Subaru being back in the real world, either just being born again into, you know, his family dynamic, or back at the gas station. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends that way. And it's kind of this bittersweet moment of like, it's not this super happy ending. I feel like that could happen. But on the other hand, I think that a lot of what is being set up is that potentially, it's a theory that I've been throwing around a lot, potentially Subaru's world might be a red herring in that it's not the real world. And knowing how often Tape subverts expectations, I think that a future where Subaru is actually from this world that he is currently in being revealed, but that somehow he was sealed away perhaps or reborn in this other world is potentially something that would be mind-blowing. That would blow my mind, and I'm sure it would blow so many other minds, in that world that he calls his isn't the real world at all. And so going off of that, learning who Subaru is and learning how he's so important in this world would be so rewarding. And that would answer a lot of the questions about Satellite and everything as well, and maybe even Al. Yeah, I still got that theory that Al might be from the future. But yeah, I know I just said that Tape likes to subvert expectations, and that has happened time and time again within the series, but I do hope that we get to see a happy ending for all, if not most, of our cast. I'd love to see Subaru saving Satellite, because Satellite wants to be killed and Subaru wants to save her. So I think that would be really nice to see. And maybe even like something crazy that could happen at the end of the series is a true ReZero, a true return to zero, where Subaru resets the entire world to the point of no conflict, to the point where, you know, we can have a happy ending perhaps. I think that would be insane, and I think that would give the name of the series so much more context and so much more meaning and depth. So yeah, that wraps up my Q&A section, which was a lot of fun. Thank you to everyone that asked questions, and if anyone wants to ask more questions, feel free to do so in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer them when I get the chance. So now I'm going to share my plans for season 4. And my plans for season 4, I'd love to say that I will be jumping in and watching the releases of each episode as soon as possible. But I think for the purposes of enjoying the best version of this story, I will be waiting for good fan subs to appear. And for this, I have no idea how long that could take. I don't know if it's going to be a matter of hours. I don't know if it's going to be a matter of days. So please stay tuned for further updates on this if needed. And I will be watching season 4 as soon as possible. But I do value this experience so much more than I value the rush of getting a video out to capitalize on the excitement of everyone watching videos and, you know, a higher view count which would come with getting the video out on day one as soon as possible. So I hope that you guys will appreciate and respect that decision. I will be waiting for good fan subs because this experience means so much more to me than anything else. Let me know how you guys feel about that. Also, on the note of, you know, uploading content, etc., Pinesino, as you guys should know, he's the one that introduced me to the series through openings, etc. He has offered to let me know whether the opening and ending for season 4 are overly spoilery in their content, and he'll let me know whether I should check those out day one or not. So yeah, once the opening ending airs, feel free to let me know if you think I should check them out, because yeah, like I said, I don't want to be overly spoiled on things, but you know, yeah, just something to keep in mind and something that I'd love to have that dialogue with. I'd love to hear your differing opinions perhaps, and if anyone has different points of view on that. So yeah, let's have a discussion on that when we have that opportunity. And yeah, I think I'm going to wrap this one up, which, yeah, this is a really bizarre, bittersweet moment for me. I'm feeling kind of emotional to wrap up on ReZero, even knowing that season 4 is just around the corner. This has been an incredible journey, and seasons 1 to 3 have been so deeply rewarding for me to follow, and I have so much love and respect and appreciation for this series. Season 3 was incredible. Season 3 was so fun. I loved it so much, and I kind of shared my thoughts on it throughout this video, I guess. So I won't rehash that, but yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone once again for following this journey with me. Whether you joined at the beginning, whether you joined halfway through, whether you just started watching these videos like 3 months after this video was uploaded, I appreciate each and every one of you, and I am so glad that we have been doing this together, and I cannot wait to continue this into season 4. So yeah, if you guys have enjoyed, and if you have not done so already, please leave a like and subscribe. It would mean a great deal to me. And leave a comment down below, either answering something that I've asked or sharing something you loved about season 3, or you know, just anything at all. Just please don't spoil anything for me. And yeah, feel free to share this with someone who you think might enjoy reaction content to ReZero. And as always, hit the notification bell if you would like to be notified when future uploads go live, including that all-important Season 4 episode reaction content. So yeah, I'm going to wrap this one up now. I hope that you guys are having a great day today and that you're able to take it easy. I will see you in the next one, in the next Return to Zero. We are truly returning to Zero, where the next episode we check out will be number 1. So yeah, I'm very excited. Take care.